Hmm? Yes, she said she wants to pick her family the airport today. Yes, I think I said that something like that. She said she wants to pick her from the airport. So I'll find the phone. My phone. No, Kunti. So she said my sister, they use it to shoot videos. So they gave it to her to keep in my bag. Since she doesn't know my bag, she should hold it. But yesterday that we were looking for it, she already gone yesterday. So she said she would bring it. Kunti. Yes, Kunti. You were saying it before. Together was saying it before. Maybe by the weather will find this news. So maybe by the weather will find this news. It's fine. So maybe you'll find why in these places.
So now Chaitanya Bhagavat. 2 days ago in class we left Lord Chaitanya, or rather Vishwambara Mahaprabhu. He had again assumed his mood of being the arrogant scholar, the proud teacher of Sanskrit. Although when he first came back from Gaya, he was absorbed in his mood of Radharani searching for Krishna and becoming exhibiting different symptoms of ecstasy, searching for Krishna. And he started teaching all the students that Krishna is everywhere and every syllable is Krishna, and Krishna is the origin of all the Sanskrit, and everything was Krishna. And the students complained to the teacher. They complained to the dean of the school. Who is the dean of the school? The dean of the school is Gangadas Pandit. Gangadas Pandit was the guru of Sanskrit, of Nimai Pandit. So they went and said, listen, your student, he has some disturbance in his life airs. He's a morka, he's speaking crazy. He's just, everything he's telling us is Krishna, he's not teaching us Sanskrit. So then Gangadas called Nimai on the carpet. He called him in the office and said, listen, what is this? Neither your family are crazy, there's no morks in either one of your family and your mother or father's family. Now I taught you Sanskrit, now you go forth and you start teaching the sutras and teaching the Sanskrit Shastras properly to your students. Don't become a disgrace, don't become a mockery. Don't make a mockery of my teachings, as you judge a tree by its fruits. So people are judging me now. What is this Gangadas? He made this Nimai Pandit into some Hare Krishna. So then Nimai went back with renewed enthusiasm. He started teaching his students Sanskrit. And then he took a group of his students and said, come on, let's go. Let's walk through the streets of Navadvip. And we'll go from house to house visiting Brahmins. And I'll personally challenge that Brahmin. And I'll make my arguments in Sanskrit and challenge him to refute those arguments. And the students were saying, yes, Nimai, this is the Nimai we knew. This is the Nimai we adored him. Let's go, Nimai, let's fight, let's challenge, let's fight everyone. So he went to a few houses of random Brahmins in Navadvip, and he challenged them, and he defeated them, and all the students said, Jai Ho, Jai Nimai Pandit ki Jai Ho. Defeated. Now this is Nimai. Then they came to one door of one Brahmin named Ratnagarbha Acharya. Now Ratnagarbha Acharya, he was a great Pandit, but more especially, he was a pure devotee of the Lord. He's a Shuddha Bhakta, Premi Bhakta. So when they came to that door, they heard that inside the house he was not reciting Sanskrit and logic and all these things. He was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. And he recited some verses in such a way when Nimai heard them, again he had a relapse. He had a relapse, and he went back into his Mahabhav of Radharani searching for Krishna, and Nimai fell on the ground, started rolling on the ground at the feet of his students at the doorstep of Ratnagarbha Acharya's house. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And seeing this display of ecstasy, Ratnagarbha was understanding, this is a great personalities. And then Nimai, he told him, he said, Panditji, tell me more. So then he started reciting more shlokas. Ratnagarbha Acharya started reciting more shlokas from the Bhagavatam. And Nimai went into more ecstasy. Then he embraced. So that's where we left off 2 days ago. Now, seeing his devoted recitation of Bhagavat, Nimai became very pleased and embraced him. Prema Lingana, remember? We said that. Pahiya Vaikunta Nayak era Alingan Preme Purna Ratnagarbha Hailatakan, being embraced by the Lord of Vaikunta. Vaikunta Nayak, the hero, is he saying the Lord. Vaikunta Nayak means actually the hero of Vaikunta. Ratnagarbha became filled with love of God. Prem Purna Ratnagarbha Hailatakan. Prem Purna. So by that Alingana, as we mentioned earlier, that Alingana was not an ordinary Alingana. Alingana means embrace. It was a Prema Lingana. And Mahaprabhu transferred, because as I mentioned the other day, if you look at these Leelas in Chaitanya Bhagavat, especially after his initiation, everywhere it's a two-sided coin. Everywhere there's Madhurya Leela and Audarya Leela. Sometimes it's going like this, it's going Madhurya Leela. And then next moment it goes Audarya Leela, then Madhurya Leela and Audarya Leela. So because they're inseparable. It's like the right hand is going like this, Audarya Leela, then the left hand is moving like this, Madhurya Leela. So when he was hearing the Bhagavatam, Nimai Pandit, from Ratnagarbha, then he was absorbed in his own Madhurya, his own Braja Madhurya, his own Mahabhav, and his own ecstasy. The next moment he comes back to his bahir, his external consciousness. Then he temporarily leaves that mood of Madhurya and enters the mood of Audarya. Audarya means distribution of the Madhurya, distributing the sweetness of Braj. Madhurya is relishing the sweetness, the internal ecstasies, the prema, the feelings of love and union with Krishna and Radha, or the separation, the sambhog or the viraha. And then because who it is, because it's Gauranga, then the next moment there's Audarya. So then he comes to external consciousness. Who has filled me with this sweetness? Who has given me these verses? Who has spoken like this to catapult me into these highest ranges of Mahabhav and separation? Oh, it's this Brahman. Oh, now it's time to become. It's like Clark Kent and Superman. He's a newspaper reporter, then he's Superman. Oh, now I should distribute the sweetness he's given me. And he sent me I'm relishing this Braj Bhav, this ecstatic Mahabhav of Radharani. Now let me give it to him. So then he reaches out and he grabs this Ratnagarbha and he embraces him. And then that's a Prema Lingana, that's what it says. He Purna Prema, he filled the heart. So that's Audarya. He distributed the Madhurya into the heart of Ratnagarbha. So then Garbha means heart, means hidden place, secret place, womb. So Mahaprabhu gave him that great jewel. He gave him the jewel, Prem Nidhi. Prem Nidhi means the jewel, the treasure of Prem. He instilled it in the heart of Ratnagarbha. So then he really became Ratnagarbha, because Ratna means jewel. Then he could become an acharya, not of Sanskrit, or a pandit, but he could become an acharya of Prem, Granga Prem Sangha, right? So this you see when you understand this, when you read the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, on every verse, one verse is Madhurya, next verse is Audarya, and then it's Madhurya, Audarya, Madhurya, Audarya, because this is the avatar. Prabhura Charana Dari Ratnagarbha Khande Bandi hoila dvija chaitanyera prema pande. Ratnagarbha cried loudly as he clasped onto the Lord's feet. Charana dhari. Prabhu Charana dhari. He's holding, cherishing the lotus feet of Prabhu. Vishwambara Mahaprabhu. Thus the Brahmin was ensnared in the network of Lord Chaitanya's love. Bandi Dvija Chaitanya Prema Phande. So he was a loving network. He was tied up. To be so fortunate. We can only pray to be so fortunate to be a Nadia Brahmin. And the Lord he's doing door-to-door Sankirtan. Has anyone ever done door-to-door Sankirtan here? You knock on a door and sell books. So this Lord Chaitanya is doing door-to-door Sankirtan. Of course, we don't advise any of the Sankirtan devotees to embrace the people. Sir, Hare Krishna, or Madam, Hare Krishna. Hey, you might be not on the Sankirtan party for very long. Maya may sweep you away. But Mahaprabhu he came, Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goraj Vasenama. Prema Pradaya. His business is to taste the prema and distribute the prema. So one verse he's tasting and relishing, next verse he's distributing. So tasting is Madhurya, relishing, and distributing is Audarya. And he's weeping, holding onto the feet, weeping. Puna Puna Pade Shloka Prema Yukta Haya Bala Bala Bale Prabhu Hankara Karya. As the Brahman repeatedly recited verses with love and devotion, the Lord exclaimed loudly, Go on reciting. So now the Brahman, he served the Lord's Madhurya. He served his cause. He said, the Lord wants to relish his Madhurya. Let me read verses. And then the Lord relished the verses. But this is the nature of love. You serve me and please me, but I want to serve you and please you. So now the Lord said, who has done this? He served me, pleased me so much. Now I should do something for him. So then he embraces him and ensnares him and wraps him up in a network of prem, of Braja Prem. So he distributes that to him. And then the Brahmin is so appreciative, he's crying, holding onto his feet. Now he's thinking, I am so pleased. I'm so happy with this. Now let me please and serve the Lord. And how can I do that? Recite verses about the Bhagavatam, and again he'll submerge in the ocean of Madhurya. So then the Brahmin says, now it's not my turn. What can I do? I can simply recite these verses, because when she, when Radharani hears these verses glorifying Krishna's Nam, Rup, Gun, and beauty, then she'll be in ecstasy. So then he starts doing his service. Puna Puna Pade Shloka, lines of shlokas, Prema Yukta. And now, see, before when we read, it was saying he was reciting Pade Shloka. He was reciting, but now it's Prema Yukta, Prem Yoga, Prem Yuga. It means it's mixed. Now he's speaking, but he's not just speaking the shlokas, which were igniting the Prem of Gauranga's heart. Now when he's speaking the shlokas, they're mixed with Prem, because he received that Prem from Lord Gauranga. And that's how it happens. That we have no Prem, and then Krishna instills a Prem in our heart when we're pure, and then we use that Prem that he's given us to give back to Krishna. And this is what Prem Seva is all about. First he instills a Prem in our heart, or his parishads. And then when he gives us his Prem, and then now we have his Prem, now we know how to please him by Prem Seva. So that's what's happening here. He gave the Prem to this Brahmin, Ratnagarbha, and Ratnagarbha with that Prem now mixes that Prem in the shlokas. Now you can imagine what his recitation of shlokas is going to do to Gauranga. And already before, when he didn't have the Prem, and he's reciting the shlokas, Gauranga is rolling on the floor, Krishna. Now we don't know what's going to happen. Dekiya sabarahaila aparupagyan nagariya sabadeki kare paranam. On seeing this, the local inhabitants, Dekiya Sabara, were struck with wonder and offered their respectful obeisances. Nagariya Sabadeki Kare Paranam. They were like, wow, what's going on here? This is a dynamic, most extraordinary, astonishing internal exchange of divine love between Bhagavan and Bhakta. And we can't really understand the depths of their exchange or what they're relishing in each other's association. But we can understand it's something amazing, it's something wonderful, it's something sweet, it's something attractive. And the only thing we can do in response is, Dandavat, Prabhu, Dandavat. All we can do is offer respectful obeisances, because we're on the outside looking in. The jar, the honey's inside the jar, and we're on the outside. These two, Bhagavan and Bhakta, Bhagavan Vishwambara Mahaprabhu and Bhakta Ratnagarvacharya, they are relishing the sweetest honey of Madhurya Ras. So, Dandavats. Then Gadadhar said, because Gadadhar was also there, Napadya Ara, Bharilena Gadadhar, Sabai Vasilena Vedi, Prabhu Vishwambara. He said, stop. Ratnagar Gadadhar said, stop, don't speak anymore. Then everyone sat down around Vishwambara. Shaneke Haila Bhaya Dristi Ghorarai Ki Bala Prabhu Jignase Sadai. Because as you know, earlier, when Nimai or Sachinandan was in some Purvarag, he was exhibiting some ecstatic symptoms and searching for Krishna, wanting to rip open his chest to find Krishna. Then Gadadhar intervened and said, oh, my Lord, please. And Sachimata, she understood that Gadadhar could control her son's ecstasy. So she said, listen, Gadadhar, you always stay with Nimai and protect him. So now Gadadhar is stepping forth. He's stepping forward and protecting Nimai, Vishwambara Mahaprabhu, per the instruction of Sachimata, and per the flow of the Leela on the dictate of Yogamaya. So Gadadhar is appropriately speaking at this time, because one might say, what is this? Why is he saying stop? Because in the previous two verses, he says, Bala Bala Bali Prabhu Hunkara Kariya. Hunkara. He's roaring. Hey, Acharya, Ratnagar, more shlokas. But now, with those shlokas he's going to recite, which are filled with Braja Prem, Lord Chaitanya is going to leave his body. He's going to go so much in ecstatic. He's going to become so ecstatic he'll become avasta chitta. He'll become unconscious for days and months. Knowing this, and precipitating or predicting this might happen, Gadadhar, who understands all this flow of Brajabhav and what's going to happen when this volcano, this golden volcano of Lord Chaitanya's heart erupts upon hearing those shlokas, he says, stop, hey, stop, put a lid on it, okay, cool it. Everyone's looking, oh, you're stopping the ecstasies of Vishwambara? What's with you? Because they don't know. Who can understand the mind of a lover except the beloved? Only the beloved knows the mind of the lover. So no one knows the mind of Gauranga like Gadadhar. Who can understand? Because Gadadhar is Radha, and Gauranga is Krishna, and Gauranga is also Radha. So then, after a short time, Gauranga regained his external consciousness and inquired, oh, what did I say? What did you say? Prabhu Bale ki chanchalya karilana ami paduya sakala bhale kritya tumi. The Lord asked his students, have I been restless? In other words, for the last hour or so, the Lord's been rolling on the floor in ecstasy, and then jumped up and internal consciousness, and immediately embraced the nearest thing, nearest person near him, who was Ratnagarva Acharya, and wrapped him in a network of prem, and then he started reciting more shlokas, and again they went in their own internal ecstasies. And the students are simply observing all this. And how do they reply to that question when their teacher, Nimai Pandit, said, have I been restless? And the student said, your actions are glorious. Ki balite pariyama sabara shakati aptagane nivarila nakarya stuti. What power do we have to explain your activities? That's what the student said. What can we say? Then the Aptagan, Apta means own family, the Octagon, the group of his intimate associates intervened and told the students, don't indulge in praising him. Bahaya Pai Vishambara Apana Sambare Sarvagane Chalilena Ganga Deki Bari. Upon regaining his consciousness, Vishambara restrained himself and he went with his associates to see Ganga. Sarvagan Ganga Deki. Sarvagan. So so this is another ecstatic interlude or episode of Gauranga's Nagar Kirtan. Of course, now it's not really Nagar Kirtan. The objective was to challenge everyone in Sanskrit and logic and defeat them. But somehow he ended up in Braj Bhav and ecstasy. Ganga Namaskari Ganga Jala Nila Shire Goshtira Sahita Vasilena Ganga Tire. Vishambara offered obeisances, Namaskar, Ganga Namaskar, to Ganga, and he sprinkled water on his head. Ganga Jal Nila Shire. Then he sat down on the bank of Ganga with his associates. Ganga Tire. Jamanara Tire Jena, Bedi Gopagan, Nana Krida Karilena, Nandera Nandan, Seimata Shachira, Nandan, Ganga Tire, Bhakter Sahita Krishna, Prasange Vihare. As Nandanandan, once Nandanandan, surrounded by the cowherd boys, enjoyed various sporting activities on the bank of the Jamuna, Shachinandan, surrounded by his devotees, enjoyed discussing topics of Krishna on the bank of the Ganga. So these Leelas are running on parallel tracks, Gaur Leela and Krishna Leela. Krishna is relishing the sweetness of associating with his friends and lovers and relatives and parents. And Gauranga, he is in that time to time, he's in that same mood of Krishna. And then he's also absorbing himself in Braj Bhav. And his associates enter into the mood of Gauranga in Braj Bhav. And then they start remembering Krishna and his Ban Bihar, or his Bojantali, or his other Leelas with the Gopas. And then they start singing bhajans and entering deeply into this Braj Bhav, relishing this Madhurya, this sweetness. Siddhanta Saraswati Pad is telling, as Nandanandan enjoyed his pastimes with the gopis on the banks of the Kalindi, Shachinandan, surrounded by his students, Shishyagan, similarly engaged in Harikatha, glorifying the Nam, Rup, Gun and Leela of Krishna while sitting on the bank of the Ganga. Rather than accepting that Gaura Sundar spent his time discussing topics of Krishna, the foolish Gaura Nagaris imagined that Gauranga was a Nagar, an amorous lover. In order to counteract such imagination, the author has used the phrase Krishna Prasanga, or topics related to Krishna, while describing Krishna's pastimes or Krishna Kirtan. So the Sahajiyas, they take the word prasanga they take that to mean erotic union, because that's also a type of sangha. Sometimes in discussing conjugal love, they say sangi. Sangi means my associate, my lover. So they misinterpret this to mean that union, that Gauranga was in a mood of Krishna and he was enjoying this type of thing. Katashane sabare vidaya diyagare Vishambara chalilena apana mandire. After some time, Vishambara took leave of everyone and returned home. Umbojana Kariya Sarva Bhuvaneranath Yoga Nidra Pratikari Lena Drishtipat. After taking his meal, the Lord of the entire universe, Sarva Bhuvanara Nath, glanced towards Yoga Nidra. That's very interesting. Dristipat. Yoga Nidra Prati Karilena Dristipat. That's a very wonderful way. Just see how the poets, because Vedavyas has appeared to glorify Gauranga as Vrindavan Das Thakur. So he came home, he ate, and he took rest. That's what happened. That's very attractive, very poetic, right? He came, he ate, and rest. Went to sleep. But rather than just saying he came, well, who came? Who came? Sarva Bhuvanara Nath. Sarva Bhu, Om Bhur Bhuva Swa. Not any ordinary he, not any ordinary person, but the Sarva Bhuvanara Nath. The Lord of all the planets, Sarva Bhuvanara Nath. It's a very beautiful phrase to glorify Vishwambar. Another way of saying Vishwambar. Vishwambar means the maintainer of the universe, one who's nourishing the universe. Ambar means cover, nourish. One who's covering the universe with love, who's spreading love throughout the universe, who's nourishing the universe with love. Prem Nam Sankirtan, Vishwambara. He's maintaining everyone, because life without love is not worth living. So in the age of Kali, or any age, if one does not receive love of God or Krishna Prem, then his life is useless. He's not really existing. He's not really maintaining anything. He's simply dragging on a dead body. So Mahaprabhu is maintaining the universe by distributing love. Because love not only maintains, it sustains and creates a situation where we can live forever when we attain Krishna Prem. So he's describing this Vishwambar, Sarva Bhuvanara Nath. And then what is he saying? Instead of saying he went to sleep, he glanced at Yoga Nidra. Because the point is, not only is it a poetic way of saying he went to sleep, Yoga Nidra Dristipat. Dristipat means he glanced. A part of his glance. He glanced at Yoga Nidra. Because when the Lord rests, he doesn't go into ignorance as we do. But Nidra means sleeping, but it's Yoga Nidra. Means that he connects with his associates. So his resting, just like when Chaturmasya is there. Chaturmasya is coming. When Chaturmasya is there, it says that Vishnu lies down, he goes into Yoga Nidra for 4 months. Yoga Nidra means that he goes into he has confidential union with Lakshmi Devi in the privacy of their own quarters. He's no longer holding court. He's no longer giving darshan to the demigods. He's no longer doing any maintenance work. Everything's on automatic pilot. Of course, it's only a few hours. And it's 8 hours of his time and 4 months of our time. So it's an insignificant portion of time. But that Yoga Nidra is not sleeping. Yoga means union. He's enjoying confidentially and intimately with Lakshmi Devi. And then we take Brahma. Brahma, they say the demigods are sleeping for 4 months, but the demigods don't sleep. So what's happening with Brahma during Chaturmasya? He's going to sleep? He's not going to sleep. He's also having a type of Yoga Nidra. And during this 4 months of our time, he's meeting with his confidential associates, the Saptarishis, the 4 Kamaras, and a group of pundits and very intellectual people. They meet together and discuss Hari Katha. But he's not involved in any functions of the universe. He's not dealing with any demons or fulfilling anyone's boons. If anyone's doing austerities, worshipping Brahma around the universe, he's not dealing with it. But he's not sleeping. He's having a private sangha. He's going in the back room of his house, you could say, while all these pundits are discussing Hari Katha for 4 months. So it's like this. So we might think, the demigods are just take their pillow and crawl up into a corner somewhere and go to sleep. It's not like that. So when Gauranga, after he takes his Narayan Prasad, he's not going off to sleep. He's not just going to snore somewhere in a corner. He's going with his intimate associates or his intimate associate to engage in various pastimes. Pahaila nishya sarva parujaragan asya vasila punti karita chintan After the night passed, all the students came and sat down with their books to study. And of course, also, without saying it directly, but glancing at Yoganidra can also mean his wife. He's also married. So it can be meaning he spent the night with his beloved. So now the next morning comes and the students come with their books to study. Takura aila jatta kare gangasnan vasya karina prabhu pushtakvya vakyan. The Lord quickly returned from his bath in the Ganga and after taking his seat began to explain the texts. Prabhura naspure Krishna vyati rekyan Shabda matre Krishna bhakti karye bhakyan. Vishwambar's explanations of the Sanskrit pushtak did not deal with anything that was not related to Krishna. He explained every word in relation to Krishna bhakti. Here we go again. Now he's again merged into his mood of devotion and withdrawn from his participation teaching Sanskrit and logic. The students are like a yo-yo or something, up and down. They're like a seesaw. 1 minute he's teaching him, then he comes initiating, comes back and goes into his ecstasies of Krishna consciousness, and everything's Krishna. Then they complain to Gangadas. Then he corrects them, and then Lord Nimai starts teaching Sanskrit again. Then he runs into Ratnagarbha and hears Bhagavatam. Then he goes into internal consciousness. And then the students, and then he comes out, and now he starts teaching Sanskrit again. Every word is Krishna, everything's Krishna, and the students, oh, here we go again. Paduyasya kalibale datu samgyakar Prabhu bale Sri Krishna Shakti namajar. So here the students say, oh dear teacher, may we ask a question? And they asked, what is the definition of dhatu? Dhatu means some term in Sanskrit, elements or certain construction, the foundation. And Nimai Vishnubar replied, that which is named Krishna's energy. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states, in answer to the students' questions, Vishnubar said, since Krishna's para, antaranga or Sarup Shakti manifests Krishna's audarya, madhurya and aishvarya spiritual pastimes, the energy and the energetic are thus inseparably related to each other. Similarly, when words are derived by grammatical construction, the original form of the root of each such expressive word manifests within itself an inseparably joined meaning or potency of expression. So if you can figure out that, then that's very good. In your own time you can read it over. Dhatu Sutra Vakane Sunaha Bahayaghan Dekikar Shaktiyachi Karuka Kandan. Oh brothers, I am explaining the aphorisms about Dhatu. Let me see who has the power to refute my explanation. So, go on a little bit. Jata Deka Raja Divya Kalevar Kanaka Bhushita Ganda Chandan Ne Sundar. All the kings we have seen had luxurious bodies, decorated with gold and beautified with fragrant sandalwood paste. Jamalakshmi Jahara Vachani Loke Kai Datu Bine Shunatara Ye Avashtahai. Although their words determine a person's prosperity or death, hear what happens to them when their dhatu leaves their bodies. He's giving me a very interesting meaning of dhatu, because the word dhatu it's about grammar. There's something called the dhatus. But Lord Chaitanya is not answering their question. They're asking a question about Sanskrit grammar. What is the dhatu? And he's starting to talk about life airs of the body, And the elements, dhatu also means the material elements or the elements of the body. So Lord Chaitanya is answering in this way. Kotajai sarvangera sondarya chaliya kare bhasma kare kare edene puntiya. No one knows where the beauty of the king's bodily limbs goes, as some bodies are burned and some are buried. Then he goes on. The energy of Krishna dwells in the body of every living entity as the dhatu, or active principle. In other words, Lord Chaitanya, they're asking him what is dhatu. So what he's going to do is give every kind of answer what dhatu is except Sanskrit. Dhatu means this, and dhatu means that. Dhatu means the elements of the body. Dhatu means the soul. Dhatu means... The students are, oh, wow. But while he's doing that, while Nimai is doing that, he's actually enlightening his students. He's actually giving them sambandha gyan, knowledge of the relationship of what is God, what is this world, who is Krishna, what am I, what is the actual reality, what is the difference between the body and the soul. It's very similar to Srila Prabhupada when he's preaching in New York, and one person was asking him. The reporter would ask Prabhupada, oftentimes Prabhupada would use this technique, which maybe he learned from Gauranga, Nimai Pandit. Someone would ask, a reporter would ask a question. Well, Swamiji, when did you start this ISKCON movement? Or he'd ask some other question. Why have you come here from India? So when Prabhupada would answer these questions, he wouldn't actually answer the question, but he would consider, Prabhupada was thinking, this person, this reporter, news reporter, he is a conditioned soul. And although he's asking me these questions, what's really relevant, what's really important, that he gets enlightenment, that he actually receives sambandha gyan, that he actually understands who he is, that there's a difference between the body and the soul, and what his relationship with God is, and he understands something about the need of human life to serve God and engage in devotional service. So Prabhupada would take these questions that they would ask about ISKCON or about why you have a shaved head or whatever, and he wouldn't answer the question at all. He would use that as a springboard to enlighten this individual person, this newspaper reporter. He said, yes, actually, he would say, what is this ISKCON? Prabhupada would say, this Krishna consciousness movement is for everyone. Actually, everyone is part and parcel of God. We're all spiritual beings. And this human form of life is actually meant to serve God. You and me, we may be thinking we're a newspaper reporter or sannyasi or whatever. Actually, we're all spiritual beings beyond this body. And the guys here listening, trying to be respectful and humble. And he says, well, Swamiji, and he tries, even after a certain point, he runs out of patience, the reporter. He says, Swamiji, yes, I appreciate what you said, but what I mean to ask is, let me rephrase the question. When did you first start this? When did you first have the idea to give this gospel, this message of God? And Prabhupada said, so actually, the way we can realize the way we can actually understand the self is by chanting the names of the Lord. See, in every religious tradition, they have a name of the Lord, Jehovah, Yahweh. So here in India, we call it Krishna. Now, what does this word Krishna mean? And the guy is again getting more sambandha gyan, and now Nam Tattva, and then Jiva Tattva, and Ishvara Tattva, and he's getting the whole Bhagavad Gita. And all he asked for was when did Prabhupada arrived in New York, and what does ISKCON mean? It means International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Oh, thank you, goodbye. But Prabhupada held the guy's ear for 1 hour, and finally, when he asked his questions again, he said, oh, ISKCON, that's an acronym. That's an acronym. ISKCON, that's an acronym. It means International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Acha. And when did you start? It was started July 14th, 1965, in New York. Acha. That's what I wanted to hear, Swamiji. Thank you very much. And he writes it down and walks away. But meanwhile, to answer those two questions, he got 1.5 hours of Harikatha from Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is what's happening here 500 years ago on the bank of the Ganga. That the students are simply asking a question about Sanskrit. And Lord Chaitanya is going all over the place to give a different idea. This is what's going on. So we have to think. Now he goes on about Dhatu. The energy of Krishna dwells in the body of every living entity as Dhatu, or active principle. All affection and devotion is meant for him alone. Due to illusion, teachers cannot understand this. Yet consider carefully whether I am right or wrong. There are persons to whom we now offer obeisances and respects, but when the active principle leaves their bodies, we must take bath after touching them. That active principle is the dhatu. The son who is happily nourished on the lap of his father touches the fire of cremation to the mouth of his father after the active principle leaves him. That which is called dhatu is the power of Krishna, the beloved of all. Is there anyone who can refute my explanation? The students are there, oh my God. Here he goes again. He's exhibiting a disturbance of his life airs. Because that's what they said previously. When he started to get into preaching about Krishna, the students, as the verse was telling us, he said, they were saying to each other, it appears that our teacher is going wacko. His life airs, they said, it's a verse we read, we remember 2 classes ago, his life airs are being disturbed. So when life airs go disturbed, you become crazy. And you speak all kinds of crazy talk. Hey, I am the Prime Minister. Everyone should listen to me. So that means the guy's drunk, he's crazy, he's disturbed. So this is what Lord Chaitanya is telling. He's giving him quite perfect knowledge. Hey Mata Pavitra Puja, Ye Krishna Shakti, Hena Krishna Bhai Saba, Kara Dhira Bhakti. Oh brothers, please render unflinching devotional service unto Krishna, whose energy is most pure and worshipable. Dhira Bhakti. Bala Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Shuna Krishnanam, Ahar Nisha Sri Krishna Charanakara Dhyan. Vishnuvar said, Bala Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Shuna Krishnanam. Chant the name of Krishna, worship Krishna, and hear the name of Krishna, Shuna Krishnanam. Day and night meditate on the lotus feet of Krishna. Ahar Nisha Sri Krishna Charan Kara Dhyan. The students are thinking, well, here we go again. So interesting. See, previously when he was teaching them, when he broke into this Krishna mood, he was simply exhibiting his ecstasies to attract them. Remember, he was in ecstasy and they were observing his ecstasy. So he was showing them the sadhya. This is the sadhya, or the goal of Krishna consciousness, to experience the ecstasies of the rapture, the divine rapture of Bhakti Ras and Krishna Prem. So they were seeing this. And then he came out and started teaching them some Sambandha Gyan. And now again, when he went back into this internal mood of Krishna consciousness, and now he's, of course, after relishing that, now he's come out to the Audarya to distribute. He's not going to teach Dhatu in Sanskrit. He's going to teach and preach. This is the Audarya aspect of Mahaprabhu, Vishnuvar. So now what is he giving them? He's giving them Sambandha Gyan, explaining Dhatu. You're taking their question about Dhatu and saying, yes, you know what Dhatu is? Dhatu means the soul, and Dhatu means these elements, and these all be burned. This body will be burned up, and the sun will crack the head of the father with a piece of bamboo on the cremation, on the funeral pyre. So the soul comes. So the Dhatu, the soul, doesn't stay attached to the Dhatu of the body. The Dhatu of the soul, the element, the essential element, the Dhatu of the soul, the Atma, will leave the body when you crack the head, because the last place the soul hides out is in the head. When the body's being burned up, the soul takes shelter in the bones, because the bones burn slow. The soul goes into the head, because usually we live in our head anyway. Usually we live in our head, we're always speculating, and anyways, the soul is always living in his head. I feel this, I think that, I will this. So now, Lord Chaitanya has concluded his Sambandha, and he's so merciful that now he's giving them Abhideya. What is the Abhideya? What is the Abhideya? Abhideya means the practice. He's telling them, Puja Krishna Shakti Dhira Bhakti. He's saying, now do devotional service. Look, I've given you the Abhideya. You asked me about Dhatu, so now I'll give you Sambandha Gyan. Now you have the Sambandha Gyan. Now what do you do with it? You practice. What do? You practice Bhakti. How? Dhira Bhakti. Firm, steady, determined. Don't break. Then they say, okay, you say practice Dhira Bhakti. What do you mean by Dhira Bhakti? Okay, now I'll tell you the next verse of Abhideya. Bala Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Shuna Krishnanam. This is Abhideya. chant Krishna's name. This is Bhakti. This is Dhira Bhakti. Worship Krishna. This is Dhira Bhakti. Hear the name of Krishna. Hear Harikatha, the name of Krishna day and night. Ahara Nisha. This is, and Dhyan. Charana Dhyan. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. These are the three essential limbs of Bhakti. So he's giving the whole Abhideya in 2 verses. He's giving the whole science of Bhakti in 2 verses. Do Bhakti. What is Bhakti? Hear and chant and remember Krishna. So now the next verse, the student should say, yes, please, will you initiate us? Give us a name. So next verse, what does he say? Now I've told you about Shravanam and Kirtanam. Now I'm going to tell you about Archanam. So step by step, he's telling them the 9 limbs of devotion. Janhara charane durva jale dile matra kabo nahe jamara se adikara patra. Now the Lord has told him, now you can see the flow here. This Lord Chaitanya is really in his Audarya Bhav now. In other words, we have a phrase in English, you asked for it. All the students asked was an innocent question. Oh dear teacher of Sanskrit, can you please explain the Sanskrit term dhatu? Oh yes, dhatu means the Hare Krishna movement. Dhatu means the 9 limbs of devotional service. Dhatu means you're not the body. Acha. So he's giving them an entire course in Krishna consciousness based on asking one question, dhatu. Vishwambara said, Janhara charani durva jale dila matra kabo nahi jamera seyadikara patra. Now he's telling him how to do archan. Anyone who offers a little water or durva grass at the feet of the Lord is never subjected to the punishment of Yamaraj. So now he's telling them patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakti prayachati taraham bhakti paretam ashyami prayatatmana. As Krishna told Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra about bhakti, abhideya, how to do sadhana, and how for all of us to do sadhana, he who offers me with love and devotion, bhakti prayachati, a leaf, a flower, a water, some water, then I accept that, right? So now the same teachings are happening 4,500 years later on the bank of the Ganga with Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is the Shishyagan, the Sanskrit students of Nimai Pandit Vishwambara Mahaprabhu, and the teacher is Gauranga, Vishwambara. So you can see how Vishwambara is so much in Krishna Lila. He's in Krishna Lila as a teacher, he's in Krishna Lila as a relisher, he's in Krishna Lila Madhurya, he's in Krishna Lila Audarya. Aga baka putanare jay kaila mochan bhaja bhaja say nandan charan. Worship the lotus feet of Nandanandan, who delivered Agasura Bakasura Putana. So I think we'll stop there, and then we have our next class. So he's giving wonderful discussion, he's giving wonderful teachings to his students and to everyone who studies Chaitanya Bhagavat. Chaitanya Bhagavat, like the Srimad Bhagavatam, describes the glories of the Lord and how to serve Him. So especially Chaitanya Bhagavat is describing the science of serving Krishna, the Seva. So any questions?
I heard that there's a difference in the historical account given by Chaitanya Chandrodaya, that Nimai Pandit did not see Vishnu Priya before he went to take sannyas. Are you familiar with this account?
It's not exactly on the topic, although we briefly mentioned something about Yoga Nidra. He's saying that Lord Chaitanya did not see Vishnu Priya until he took sannyas.
He left in the morning and didn't come back in the evening.
What do you mean by not seeing? I don't quite understand what you're saying.
Well, Chaitanya Bhagavat says that Nimai Pandit went to bed and then rose in the middle of the night. But Chaitanya Chandrodaya says that he left in the morning, and instead of coming back to take the last meal in the evening, he did not come back. He spent the night in Kirtan and went to Katwan in the evening.
What is your question exactly? You're saying that he never saw, in his whole life, he never saw Vishnu Priya?
The last day.
You're talking about the last day.
Yes.
Well, that different acharyas who write biographies have different ideas about that. So I can't. What can I say? I can repeat the different ideas, but what the conclusion is, I haven't heard any of our acharyas say the particular conclusion. I can say that from Chaitanya Mangal viewpoint, because we translate that in English, and the edition we used was the edition that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur distributed in Bhagavazar. In 1929, he distributed one edition of Chaitanya Mangal, which we translated into English. Now, Lochandas Thakur, he explains, as is told by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So generally, when we answer a question amongst our Sangha, we will refer to our Guru Parampara. They are Mahajans. So what Bhaktivinoda believes and what Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada states, and what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati states, we the followers, at least in ISKCON and Gaudiya Math, we accept that as our praman, Guru Shastra and Sadhu. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he translated and distributed Chaitanya Mangal by Lochandas Thakur, and in the edition that he distributed, he's telling Chaitanya Mangal that the last night the Vishnu Priya and Vishwambar spent the night in conjugal delight, the last night. And in the early morning, which can be considered night and morning, because some people define day as when after the sun rises, and some people define day as Brahma Muhurta. There's different definitions of what is night and what is day, because it's like that. So then that early that morning before sunrise, which can also be called day or night, Vishwambar left, and his mother was waiting at the door, Sachimata. He had some small interaction with her, and I just looked and just left. That's told in Chaitanya Mangal, and that was accepted by and distributed by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. What Kavi Karnapur is saying in Chaitanya Chandrodaya, I can't say, I'm not familiar just now. But I would tend to favor what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati presents, because he's my Param Guru. Is that okay?
Well, basically my question is, since our Guru is omniscient, Kavi Karnapur was really qualified. I don't understand why such a qualified poet as he would have a different account, but this...
Well, I can also answer that question. In Vaishnav Avidan by Haridas Das, he was a very reputable devotee in the time, and he collected all these different, like encyclopedia of all the great Vaishnavas and their contributions and beliefs and books and whatnot, deities. And it is generally accepted in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya across the board by the acharyas, contemporary acharyas at the time, and subsequent acharyas afterwards, that Kavi Karnapur was not a student of history. He was not a student of history, and he didn't have any concern with history or historical accuracy. Kavi Karnapur was primarily a rasic poet. Obviously, he's a Nitya Parishad of the Lord. That goes without saying. But he's not recognized or even looked towards for any historical accuracy by any acharyas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. They don't cite, I've never heard, and they even specifically say that they don't cite his works as a basis for any praman for historical points. His works are cited as sources of praman for philosophical points and for ras. That's what I understand about Kavi Karnapur, because we produced 2 books of Kavi Karnapur, Ananda Vrindavan Champu and Krishna Anika Komudi. So we did thorough study about Kavi Karnapur's life and contribution, and this is what we understand about Kavi Karnapur, who also wrote Chaitanya Chandrodaya, which you're quoting from. So we don't look to Kavi Karnapur's books for historical points or as a source of historical reference or praman. Nor does anyone use them in any course of discussion. So you may take the lead of that and not use Kavi Karnapur's works for historical support. Reading from Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Kanda, Chapter 1, Text 339. Yesterday we were discussing how Vishwambara Mahaprabhu has again absorbed himself in Krishna consciousness, or feeling a deep mood of separation from Krishna in Radha Bhav. And now he's again slipped back into this mood of teaching his students again all about Krishna, which he had done previously. And then they complained to the dean of the school. They complained to Gangadas, the guru of Nimai, that your student is not acting properly. He's telling you everything, all Sanskrit, everything is Krishna. So then Vishwambara rectified himself and again started teaching the sutras appropriately from the material viewpoint. But then he met Ratnagarbha Acharya, and Ratnagarbha Acharya was a Premi Bhakta, absorbed in Bhagavat Ras, and he spoke some shlokas from Bhagavat which plunged Vishwambara deep into the ocean of separation from Krishna, and again he entered into this deep mood of Krishna consciousness. And when he again started teaching his students Sanskrit, it was all about Krishna. So this is where we are in the story. So in his teaching them about Krishna, now he's not even teaching the Sanskrit about Krishna. Now he's simply giving Sambandha Gyan, which he gave. Now at this juncture of the conversation, he's giving them Avideya Gyan, right? Avideya Tattva. He's teaching them how to practice bhakti. First he was teaching them about Krishna and the position of Krishna in themselves. And now he's, last couple of verses, first he introduced his teaching of Avideya Tattva by saying that bhakti is the way. And now he's been telling them about Shravanam and Kirtanam. Yesterday he talked about Archanam. And now he's talking about Smaranam. So he's actually giving a whole summary of the Navavida Bhakti to his Sanskrit students, absorbed in his mood of Audarya. After plummeting into the ocean of Madhurya in the association of Ratnagarbha Acharya, he surfaced in that ocean. He came to the surface of that ocean and started to ride the waves of Audarya and distribute the nectar in the form of teaching, to prepare his students also to relish the sweetness of Madhurya Bhav. But first he's giving them a strong foundation of Sambandha Gyan and Avideya. Putra Buddhi Chari Ajamila Se Samaran Chalila Vaikuntha Bhaja Se Krishna Charan. Vishwambara Mahaprabhu said to his Sanskrit students, Shishyagan, by giving up thoughts of his son, as he remembered the holy name of the Supreme Lord, Ajamil attained Vaikuntha. Therefore, worship the lotus feet of Krishna, Bhaja Krishna Charan. So he's citing an example from Bhagavatam, Bhagavat Brahman, 6th canto, and Saraswati Thakur's purport. Although the most sinful Ajamil first uttered the name Narayan, referring to his son, as soon as he gave up thoughts of his son as the object of enjoyment, and simultaneously remembered that the sound vibration of Narayan is not different from Narayan, he immediately attained liberation due to the influence of Namabhas resulting from remembering Krishna. He was then able to enter the kingdom of Vaikuntha, which is transcendental, beyond the reach of the senses, beyond the jurisdiction of Maya. So this is like a lightning fast transaction here. Like in computers, you press one button and so many things happen. So initially when the Yamadutas approached Ajamil to take him to hell because of his life of sin, in great fear, he called out to his son, because he had been calling his son so many times over the last, I don't know how old the son was, but a few years, I suppose. And he was calling his son with parental love and just thinking of it. Narayan means my son. What happens so fast. So he's remembering his son. So when he chanted Narayan one time, he only chanted once, Narayan, he was thinking of his son out of fear, seeing Yamaduta, so he called Narayan. So the thought went to his son, but then the next thought in a second was, he thought of his son, but then the next thought was he thought of God. Because he also had samskars to remember God and to chant God's name. Because before he met the prostitute and fell out with her for so many 80 years or something, he would chant Narayan's name and think of God. So this all happened in splits of second. He said, Narayan, my son. Narayan, God. So Narayan, his son, was only once. He only said Narayan, but he thought son. Then next thought he said Narayan, my son. But then nothing happened. The Yamadutas were still there. Because he had all his sanskars to call it Narayan means his son. But he also had sanskars in his chitta that Narayan means God. So what happened is the brain on a super fast binary computer, it went from the sanskara to sun, which is Maya and keep you here. And then it immediately dipped into the sanskara for Narayan means God, with only one name, and he thought of God, and then the Yamadutas left. That's what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is saying. So that became Namabhas. That name, like half the name, it's only Narayana, Narayana. So Nara part of it was Namaparad, and Ayana was Namabhas. But that was enough, Ayana, to Vamus. The Yamadutas, Vamus, they left. And so then he was saved. And so now he continued on the line of those Purva Sanskaras. And then after he was saved, the Yamadutas left, he said, whew, that was a close one. Okay. And then he said to little Narayan, goodbye, Mrs. Narayan, and my wife. And then he went to Hardwar and he did Nam Bhajan. And then he attained Vaikuntha. So this is what's being said here in this purport. Janara Charane Sevi Shiva Digambar Ye Charana Sevi Bari Lakshmina Adhar. Vishnuvar Mahaprabhu continued. While serving Sankarshan's lotus feet, Lord Shiva goes about naked. The service of those feet is desired by Lakshmi. So, in the previous verses we had heard how the Lord was talking about Shravanam and Kirtanam and some Smaranam, and now he's talking about Padasevanam. This is the progression of the 9 limbs of devotion given in Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj. So in his own summary way, giving a summary course. This is a first VIG course. Vishnuvar Mahaprabhu is giving a summary course here, a crash course in Sambandha Videya and Prayojan to his Sanskrit students, because he really wants to do udar, welfare for them. After teaching them Naya and Vyakaran, now he wants to give them, which is Vidya, now he wants to give them Paravidya. So now he's talking about Padasevanam, which means serving the lotus feet of Krishna. Bhaja Krishna Charane, serve the lotus feet of Krishna. Then again, now he says, well, you should serve the lotus feet of Krishna. And the next thing is, well, why? And who's done it? What's the big deal? What are those lotus feet? Oh, you don't know. You're so much studying Sanskrit and Aya, you don't know. Well, let me tell you. Those feet, you've heard of Lord Shiva? Oh yeah, I've heard of Shiva. He's pretty famous here in India. Well, that's why he's gone crazy, because he's worshipping those feet of Sankarshan. His Ishtadev is Sankarshan. And it's Krishna also. Krishna's expansion, Sankarshan. Ananta Shesh. So he's worshipping those feet, and by worshipping those feet, going naked. What is going naked? Does going naked mean he's streaking? Like the college students used to take off their clothes and streak across the campus in the 70s. It's called streaking. Does it mean that he's an exhibitionist? No. What does it mean naked? It means he has no attachments. That's what it means naked. Digamra means he has no material attachments. So you know Shiva? Yes, I've heard of Shiva. Students, you've heard of Shiva? Yes, Om Namo Shivaya, Bam Bam Bole. Well, he's not even attached to clothes. You may be a great yogi, but at least you wear a langoti. You may be a Brahmavadi, or you may be a whatever, but you're wearing something, a kopin or langoti. But he's not wearing anything. He's not even attached to clothes. And how did he get to this exalted position of detachment? By Sri Bhaja Krishna Charane. Bhaja Krishna Charane, by worshipping the lotus feet of Krishna in the form of Sankarshan, who is Vishnu. And what more about those feet? What more about those feet of Krishna? And you've heard of Lakshmi? Oh, students, have you heard of Lakshmi Devi? You heard? You had that poster in your house, right? Lakshmi, Saraswati, Durga. The three Devis, one's showering the coins, and one's sitting on the lion, and one's playing the veena, right? And you do your puja every night. Oh, please bless me, Saraswati, I can learn all these sutras and all these dhatus of Sanskrit, right? Well, that Lakshmi who's showering the coins in the poster, she's aspiring, she's endeavoring and doing tapasya to attain a seva of those lotus feet. Ye charana sevi bhare Lakshmi Adar. Adar means she has great regard. Adar, she's praying. Adar, she has great respect. Adar, she's, oh, when will I attain that fortune of those lotus feet? And the students are saying, really? Those feet are like that? Bhaja Krishna Charane? These are the feet you're talking about? That Shiva has left everything in this world, all attachments, everything, simply by worshipping those feet, simply by one limb of bhakti, pada sevanam? Such exalted state of consciousness and life he's attained? And Lakshmi has given up all her wealth, all her everything. She's sitting in Bailvan eating khichdi under a bail tree, and she only gets khichdi 4 times a year. The rest of the year she eats bilva patra and jamuna jal. And she's doing such austerities to attain a seva of Krishna's feet? Really? Vishwambara, it's like that. Oh, this bhakti is so powerful, because he introduced this whole thing of Abhideya by saying you should bhakti yoga. This is the best way, this is the best activity you should perform, bhakti yoga. That was 9 verses before. Now he's explaining what is this bhakti yoga, my dear students. So they say, okay, now we understand more. Then the next question the students ask, well, how do we do it? How do we worship those feet that Shiva has attained and Lakshmi, Shiva has attained them? And he's had such transformation. Lakshmi's yet to attain them, she's trying to attain them. And you're encouraging us to try to attain, to serve them. I mean, how do we do it? How can we serve those feet? Ananta ye charana mahima gunagai dante trina kari bhaja hena Krishna pai. Trina, danta trina, trinadapi sunichena turari vaseshana. Amanina, amanidena, kirtini sura. Danta trina. What is danta? It means dentist. Danta means you go to the danta. It means you go to the dentist. Dental work comes from Sanskrit, Bengali, danta. We should all, Krishna's Kaviraj is saying that all Gaudiya Vaishnavas should become dentists. Right? He's telling everyone in chapter 20, Antilila, you should all become dentists. And string this shloka around your necks for constant remembrance. All you dentists out there. Trinadapi suni chinava. You should be humbler than a blade of grass. You should hold a trina between your teeth and become a dentist. Little humor is also good. Right, Charlie? Huh? Don't be too serious. He's very serious, which is good and making me more sober. I need a shot of sobriety. Dante Trina Kari Bhaja Krishna Pai, he says Ananta Charana Mahima Gunagai. These feet are glorified by Ananta. Charana Mahima Gun Gai. He's singing Ananta. First he already mentioned Ananta in a previous verse. Ananta Shesh is the Ishta of Shiva. So it's very interesting what he's saying if you think about it. He's saying Shiva has given up everything in this material world and he's going around naked while serving his lotus feet. Whose lotus feet? He just says his here. Janhara Chanana Sevi, Shiva, Digambara. He's become totally attached. The only attachment he has is the wind. Wind around his body. That's his clothes. Dig Ambara, the directional wind. He's covered Ambara by the dig, the directions, the wind. So who is that him or he that he's worshipping? Now in this verse he's saying, yes, and that Lord, the Lord of Shiva, Ananta, what is he doing? He's glorified. He's also engaged in the service of Krishna's feet. Because Balaram's greatest Sevananda is to serve Krishna. It says he's absorbed in Sevananda. That's in Adi 5. Talking about Balaram and Nitai. The Balaram is Sevananda. He's absorbed in the bliss of serving Krishna. So that Ananta, he's glorifying, that Ananta Shesh is glorifying the gun, Gai means singing. He's singing the qualities. The Charana Mahima Gun Gai. Charana, the Mahima, the glories, the fame of the Charan, of Krishna's Charan. He's singing about it. How many mouths? Is he singing about it with one mouth? How many mouths? He's only singing the glories of Krishna's feet with one mouth? How many mouths? Thousands of mouths. Anantamuk. And so not only in this verse is he answering the student's question of how do we serve those lotus feet, but he's saying that you should with great humility. Dantatrina, you have to approach these lotus feet with great humility. And although we have no adhikar, these feet are being worshipped and the glories of these feet are being sung by Ananta with its thousands of mouths. But anyway, knowing how exalted and how great these feet of Krishna are, these feet of Krishna means devotional service. This is Padasevanam, it's a devotional service. How much humility must be there and how much adar, how much regard we should have for bhakti itself, or herself. So then Mahaprabhu says, Yavat achaye pran, dehi ache shakti, tavat karaha Krishna para, tavat karaha Krishna para padme bhakti. Vishnu Mahaprabhu said, as long as there is life and strength in the body, you should render devotional service to the lotus feet of Krishna. So obviously these answers, or these shlokas spoken by the supreme teacher of humanity, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, are in response to the questions of the students. The questions aren't listed here, and even if they were listed, maybe they're not spoken. Because not only do you have to phrase a question with your words, you can phrase a question with your eyes, or with your face. So he's telling the students, you should serve these glorious feet of Krishna with great humility. And then they're asking the question, they're saying, well, how long do we have to serve them? Because these students are coming from a background of karma kandya. These students are coming from a background of jnana, upasana. They're jnanis, they're pundits. And they're born in this culture of Navadvip 500 years ago, which was pervaded by karma kandya and all kinds of pujas. So in karma kandya, there's a start and there's an end, finish. You start the yajna and you finish. You start the tapa and you finish. Chandrayana Brat, Chaturmasi Brat, so many brats. And when you finish, you get the result. It begins and it ends. Because this is what's happening in this material world. Everything has a beginning and end. So this karma kandya and this jnana, it's all in this world. It's all material. For material results, most of it. So they're thinking, okay, Vishwambar, so if we humbly approach these feet and we serve them, then how long do we have to do it? For a month or 2 months or what? And it's just, we give a little bit of our energy to it, or we do a little bit in the morning, and he's saying, Pran Dehi Achi Shakti, Krishna Pada Padme Bhakti. He's saying, what is he saying? He says, as long as you have any pran in your body, if there's a drop of pran, life, essence in your body, and any strength, any shakti, pran and shakti. Shakti means power, and pran means the psychic ability, or you can say the life energy, or the life force to implement or utilize that power. You may have shakti, but without pran you can't express the shakti. So he's telling both. He's saying your pran, if there's any pran or any shakti left in your body, you should use that to serve Krishna. Render devotional service to Krishna. So the answer is forever. As long as you're existing, you serve Krishna. Oh my God! What is this stuff? This bhakti is something heavy. There's no beginning. I mean, it doesn't end. It goes on and on. Today, tomorrow. No vacation, no chuti. What is this? I mean, we do some yajna. We do a 7-day yajna, or a 30-day yajna, or a 3-month yajna, 90-day puja. But we know there's some light at the end of the tunnel, and we finish. It's 90 days of rigorous. Every day we have to organize a puja and a yajna for 90 days. And we know that, 89 days, and we're scratching on our calendar 75. When we get to the end, and then we offer that final ablution, Swaha, after 90 days. But you're telling us every day with every ounce of energy and all our Shakti and our prana, Hare Baba. So when he said that with all your prana and all your Shakti, their jaws dropped. So seeing that, then he wanted to grind in the philosophy even deeper into their hearts. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadan, Charane Dariya Bali, Krishna Dehaman. Listen, you puggles. Not this Krishna, this Bhakti, this Seva, this feet of Krishna. Krishna is your everything. He's your mother, your father, your life, your wealth, your pran, your dan. And then they're thinking, wow, he's really asking a heavy demand here. And he sees that they're not so encouraged to accept his teachings and follow his instructions. So then the teacher adopts a very humble position. Charane dharane bhali, Krishna deha man. The guru is telling them, just like Nitai did the same thing from door to door with Haridas. Guru Nitai, the Adi Guru. So the Adi Guru Gauranga, he says Charne Dharya Bali. He says I fall at your feet. Dhara, I hold, and really it means Charne Dharya. It means I take your feet and I hold your, oh my dear students, I hold your feet on my head, and I beg you, Bali Krishna Deha Man, to engage your mind in thinking of Krishna. So now he's begging them. First he's instructing them and giving them sambandha and abhideya and illuminating them. Now he says, I beg you, with all humility, I take your feet and hold them on my head, my dear students, but please always think of Krishna. He's everything. You don't need your mother, you don't need your father, you don't need any wealth, you don't even need your pran, you don't need anything. If you have Krishna's feet enshrined in your heart and your mind, you can die right now and you'll live forever with him. You don't need anything. I beg you, please. So this is the ideal preacher. As Prabhupada said, the ideal preacher has the courage of a British soldier and the heart of a Bengali grandmother. So you have to be a Bengali to know what that means. At any rate, heart of a Bengali grandmother means very compassionate, very loving, caring, dedicated, surrendered. So you see Mahaprabhu. And then Siddhanta Saraswati quotes the verse which our Srila Prabhupada was very favorite of his, Dante Trina, another verse is in his shloka book, Dante Trina, from Chaitanya Chandramrita, verse 90. Taking a straw, this is Kavi Karnapur, taking a straw in my teeth, I fall at your feet hundreds of times and implore you with sweet words saying, O noble soul, please throw out everything you have learned and cultivate attachment to the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga. So Prabhupada tells that this is the system of preaching. Srila Prabhupada, who quoted this verse, is a very long verse. It starts off Dante Trina. And Prabhupada said, yes, we go up to the learned, and then Prabhupada was explaining, we go up to any learned gentleman. And Prabhupada narrated this on the tape. He said, we go up to some materialistic person, non-devotee, and we glorify him. We say, my dear sir, you are a very cultured man of this community. And the person says, yes. And I can see that you're very, very learned. You're very, very educated, highly educated, very learned. And then the man says, yes. And each time you glorify him, his chest goes out a little bit more, and he stands up a little straighter. And I can see that you're highly respected in this town, in this village. Everyone looks up to you and has great respect. Yes. Now he's about to blow up. He's so proud and so happy and satisfied. Then he may look and say, son, what is it do you want? Do you want something? I mean, it seems, well, there's just one small request I have. said, yes, don't be shy. No, I just want to ask you one thing. Well, don't mind. Whatever. Don't be shy. I'll whatever you want, I'll do. My dear sir, please forget everything you've ever learned and surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. So this is Prabhupada explains like this, and paraphrase, and of course quoting this verse in its full Sanskrit. So here, this is similar. This is what Lord Chaitanya is saying. He's Dante Trina. He's holding that figurative straw in between his teeth, which means his mind is saturated with humility. It's not necessary. We could also do, but the real thing is not the holding the straw between the teeth, which would be the adibhotika consideration, but the adhyatmika, or more subtle consideration, or from our viewpoint, is that we saturate our minds and hearts with great humility, and only when our hearts and minds are saturated with great humility and appreciation and love for others can we effectively go forth and preach the message of divine love which Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu has come to this world to give. So this is the whole process of devotion, is to learn the art of saturating the heart. Learn the art of saturating the heart with genuine humility. So that's why when you join the temple, everyone joins the temple like a wild stallion, like a wild Mustang. There's a type of horse in Wyoming. It runs around quite wild, and they have to be tamed. Somehow or other, if you can throw a rope around his neck, that's a good start. And then good luck after that. Because if he doesn't kick you in the head and send you to Hades, and you still get by, then you try to get a bit. Finally, you bring him back and starve him for a while till he gets weak. You bring him back to your corral and starve him for a week or two till he loses his strength. Then you throw a bridle on him. You throw a bit in his mouth, and then you can start to control him. So bhaktas, and as Prabhupada said, bhaktins, which only exist in ISKCON, but anyway. But new devotees, be they men or women, they're like wild horses, and they have to be broken, as they say. Their wild ways have to be reformed. So the temple commander says, do this and do that and clean this and chop that and wash this and wash that. And what do we say? No. Because I am bigger, biggest. I means false ego. So until the false ego is cracked, there's no possibility to make progress, sufficient progress in devotional line. And what to speak of be an effective preacher. So Lord Chaitanya obviously is setting the example here as being the ideal pracharak, or preacher, which is one of the missions that he's come to establish by his life's example. And this applies to all of the aspiring preachers. Charane dhariya bali Krishne dehaman. I fall at the feet of the people I'm preaching to, and I beg them to please engage their minds in thinking of Krishna. So now Vrindavan Das Thakur, this Leela is concluded now. This teaching of Sambandha Gyan and Abhideya at this installment has concluded now between the Sanskrit Shishyagan of Vishrambar and himself. And Vrindavan Das Thakur speaks here. Jasya bhave kahe Prabhu apana mahima haila prahara dui tabu nahi sima. In the mood of a servant, dasya bhav, right? The bhav, the mentality, the feeling, the heart's position of the servant. Dasya bhav Prabhu apana mahima. The Lord continually narrated His own glories until half the day had passed. So in response to your question, how does the Lord get pleasure from hearing His glories or hearing His holy name or any service? We see that He spends half the day glorifying Himself. And what is Mahaprabhu doing when Mahaprabhu goes to Puri for 6 hours a day, engages in Nam Sankirtan? Whose name? His name. When he chants the names, he goes into ecstasy. Wow, what? Hari Haraya Nama Krishna. Oh, wow, Hari Haraya. Nama Krishna. Hey, that's me. Hari. Of course, what? That it may externally look, it's certainly Bhagavan Nam, but when it's taken from the viewpoint of Radharani, which is the internal, the Adhyatmic conception, the Adhibodhika conception of looking at that, the external is that Bhagavan is chanting his own names, and when you want to take that point to establish some tattva, then you can. But there's 3 levels to understand every verse or every pastime. So, from our viewpoint, from the subtle viewpoint, or from his viewpoint, so therefore it's the Acharyas use that example, and which what I'm repeating here, that the Lord enjoys relishing hearing and chanting about his own names, which he did in Puri. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. So he's saying Yadavaya Keshavaya. So he's saying Keshavaya. So it's Keshav, the killer of the Keshi demon. It's Krishna Nam. So Bhagavan, Mahaprabhu, is glorifying Krishna Nam. But now that's the Bhautika consideration. But if you take it from the Daivika consideration, Adi Daivika consideration, from us, it's how it applies to us, it's Adhyatmika, whatever. But you take it from his viewpoint, his means heard. Because when Mahaprabhu was in Puri, then Mahaprabhu was in Radhabhav. So now Radharani is chanting the name of her beloved. So Keshava doesn't mean the killer of the Keshi demon. It means that lover of mine who very expertly dresses my kesh, my hair, and Sringarbhat in so many places. So there's so many levels that these, as Prabhupada told us, we should examine every verse of the Bhagavatam from all angles of vision. So the Acharyas have summarized 3 basic ones: Adhyatmic Vichar, Adhibodhika Vichar, Adhyatmic, and Adhidaivik Vichar. So the Rasik Vaishnava Acharyas, they have 360-degree broadband vision, so they're able to see everything, and they extract the nectar and the teachings and the Siddhanta and the Ras, and they distribute it through the means of their tikas. And we, who can only see Adhibodhika at best, we say, oh, wow, really? Oh, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Sanatana Goswami Pad ki jai. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. So they expand our vision. They give us 360-degree vision. Because on our own, if we read the Shastra, we have what they call tunnel vision. Tunnel vision. This is tunnel vision. Or we have maybe horse vision. And horse vision is like this. Kora Deki or whatever. They have these blinders on their eyes and they can't see peripherally. We'll finish this page. So apparently he went on with his teachings. This was not the conclusion, but this is all that's included here by Vrindavan Das. But the Lord went on all day glorifying Krishna. Mohita paduya saba shune ekaman duirukti karite karo na aise badan. The charmed students. Mohita paduya. Paduya means students or shishya. Mohit means mo. Mo means moha, illusion, bewildered, captivated, enchanted, or it's also a very nice word, charmed. They were charmed. Charmed also, you take a watch, that's called, hypnotizing someone is also charming them. So they were charmed by the beautiful. The charmed students heard the Lord's explanations with rapt attention. Ekaman. When we listen to Harikatha, we have so many minds. One mind's on lunch, one mind's on breakfast, one mind's on our shopping list, one mind's on my friends, one mind's on my mother, one mind's on... So it says, Ekman, sub shune ekaman. Sub, everybody. Sama, sub. Shune, same as Hindi, shunya. Listen, they heard. They listened, Ekman. So this is interesting because in the Bhagavatam, the first canto, it says that the sages at Misharanya, they were listening to Sutta Goswami, Shonak and all the others, they were listening to Sutta Goswami with rapt attention. Rapt attention. You could hear a pin drop, as they say. So this is a further elaboration of the concept of rapt attention. Means ekman, and that's everyone can understand that. The ekman means concentration. For example, if you read an engrossing book, like Srimad Bhagavatam, hopefully for the Bhakti Gan, that is the most engrossing or attractive, absorbing book. So if you're really reading the book and absorbed, ekman, when you're reading, someone comes in and says, hey Charu Krishna, Prasad's ready. You don't even hear them. Because if you're ekman, that means your mind is not going to your other senses. Your whole mind is going to your eyes. Your ears are going to your eyes. Your nose is going to your eyes. Your mouth is going to your eyes. Your tongue, your hand is going to your eyes. Otherwise, you're like, well, That means part of your mind is going to your hand to make it move. Or the people who go like this, they shake their leg, right? That has a lot of different meanings. Some of them are not so good. There are other means like negative, like in the lower chakras also. But if the body's moving, that means the mind has to be behind it. The body doesn't move without the mind moving it. Right? Thinking, feeling, willing. And willing means action, kriya. There's no kriya without icha, and there's no icha without manana, thinking. So in concentration, everything shuts down. Only the eye. If you're reading, then if it's hearing, then your eyes shut down. Your eyes shut down. Your nose shuts down. Your hands shut down. And all the mind goes to the ears. The whole mind that's called ekman jap, right? The whole mind is just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And some mind is going to move the mouth also. Otherwise, you can't chant. So you can say, but it's one activity. So the mind is absorbed. It's ekman because it's one activity. Hearing and chanting is one thing. But we hear Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And so your mind is spread all over your body, moving your arms, your legs, your fingers. You're scratching your head. You're this, that. So the mind is all spread. But to me, ekman is like really focused. So that's how they heard the Lord. Because only if you're ekman can you become mohita. You can't become charmed by anything unless your mind is fixed on that. Something may be very charming, very enchanting, very captivating. Some animal or but someone might say, look at that animal. And they become captivated and they see the purple neck and the green feathers and the red beak and they become totally stunned. And you look and say, what is that? A stupid pink bird or something. All these tropical birds. Because you haven't fixed your mind on it, so you're not captivated. So we can't be captivated by Krishna's holy name or enchanted by Krishna's Leela unless we fix our mind on it. And shut out everything else. It's just basically the art of concentration. That's all the art of concentration means. Shutting out everything else and fixing it on the mind, right? So that's what hearing means. So we are supposed to be an expert. We are supposed to be samadhi experts. One place he wrote an art of chanting. Why don't has anyone ever tried once in their life trying to enter Nam Samadhi? Just try. Actually, consciously try to enter Nam Samadhi. In other words, try to sit down for 5 minutes and say, I'm going to fully concentrate on I'm going to go in a dark room, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur encourages us. I'm going to go someplace in the cellar or the basement, some super quiet place, and totally concentrate for 10 minutes on nothing but the holy name. And try my best to enter Samadhi, my intelligence, all my thoughts, my mind, and everything's fixed on the holy name. Have we ever even thought to enter Nam Samadhi? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's something we can think about. So they were charmed. Mohita Paduya, ek sabasunim, dvi rukti karita karo sevaran. None of them dared to open their mouths. In other words, they weren't this time, although this has happened before, this time they weren't about to say. Because before, when Lord Chaitanya was teaching Sanskrit, not Lord Chaitanya, Vishnubar was teaching Sanskrit, the students were, and then he broke into his Krishna reverie and started being absorbed in Krishna and speaking about Krishna. Then the students started passing comments. One comment they said is, well, he's acting like a murk. That's what they said. They said, our teacher's acting like a murk, like a fool. Then another student said, there's some disturbance in his life affairs. They said, Vayu, whatever it was, chanchals, whatever. These words are there. We covered this in class. You were here. So now the same thing has happened. Again, he's come back. He started teaching Sanskrit, and again he's submerged in the ecstasy of separation from Krishna. And then he came out of that Madhurya sweetness and went into the Avdarya mode, and started teaching them and sharing these teachings with them and helping them come to the point of Madhurya. So now they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Because now they heard with rapt attention. Before, when he was going into his Krishna thing, they were just mocking him. They weren't really paying attention. Listen, what is he doing? He's becoming Pagos, like a Morka. His air is disturbed. They were only thinking what they would say. And then they responded, because afterwards they went immediately to Gangadas and said, hey,
Jaya Sharma, Jaya Girira, Jaya Girira, Girira, Jaya Girira, Vindari Jaya Sasi, Jaya Vindari Jaya Sasi, Jaya Vindari Sasi, Jaya Vindari Prabhupada Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Dakora Hariva, 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 Dakora Hariva, Dakora Hariva. Haribo, Haribo, Hora, Namah, Krishna Vidaya, Krishna Vistaya, Bhutale, Bhakti, Bhakti Vedanta, Swami, Siddhanta. Namo Krishna Padaya Krishna Messiah Bhakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Puramani Pacharive Nevrasisha Sudhamavadi Nistaja Desatarive Namaste Saraswati Devi Puramani Pacharive Never stay shy, so nobody first out the sun. Jaya Shri Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Prabhupada, Shri Advaita, Padadara Shri Vasadi, Gora Bhattavenda, Jaya Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhupada, Nanda, Shri Advaita, Padadara Shri Vasadi, Gora Bhattavenda, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Rama Rama. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada,
Aja Vakata Vatsalam Shri Gora Hari Aja Vakata Vatsala Shri Gora Hari Shri Gora Hari Sahi Goshta Bihari Shri Gora Hari Sahi Goshta Bihari Yashomati Chitahari Nanda Yashomati Chitahari Velo Halo Damodara Aisha Ekana Velo Halo Damodara paise Girivaradhari Baladeva Sahasaka Baise Sari Sari Baladeva Sahasaka Baise Sari Sari Shukta Shakani Bhaji Nalita Kushmanda Shukta Shakani Bhaji Nalita Kushmanda Dalidana Dukha Tumbi Dadhi Mochakanda Dalidana Dukha Tumbi Dadhi Mochakanda Buddha Bodha Masha Bodha Rotika Kritana Shashkuli Pishtaka Kirkuli Payasana Shashkuli Pishtaka Kirkuli Payasana Karpuramrita Keli Rambakira Sada Amrita Sala Amla Dvadasha Prakara Amrita Sala Amla Dvadasha Prakara Luchi Chini Sarpuri Radula Sabali Luchi Chini Sarpuri Radula Sabali Bhojana Korena Krishna Hoye Kutuhali Bhojana Korena Krishna Hoye Kutuhali Radhikara Pakana Vividha Vyanjana Radhikara Pakana Vividha Vyanjana Parama Ananda Krishna Korena Bhojana Parama Ananda Krishna Korena Bhojana Jale Bale Ladhukai Shri Madhu Mangala Jale Bale Ladhukai Shri Madhu Mangala Bagala Bhajai Yara Deyo Hari Bolo Bagala Bhajai Yara Deyo Hari Bolo Hari Bolo Hari Bolo Hari Bolo Nitai Bolo Hari Bolo Nitai Bolo Hari Bolo Hari Bolo Hari Bolo Nitai Bolo Hari Bolo Radhikari Ganeheri Nayane Rakhone Tripta hoye kai Krishna Jashoda Bhavane Tripta hoye kai Krishna Jashoda Bhavane Bhojanante piye Krishna Subhasita Bhari Bhojanante piye Krishna Subhasita Bhari Save mukha prakaloy hoye sari sari Asamukha prakaliya jata sakagane Asamukha prakaliya jata sakagane Anand Vishrama kore Baladeva sane Anand Vishrama kore Baladeva sane Jambula rasala ne tambula masala Jambula rasala ne tambula masala Dhake Krishna Chandra Sukhe Nidra Gela Dhake Krishna Chandra Sukhe Nidra Gela Vishalaka Shiki Puja Chamara Dulaya Vishalaka Shiki Puja Chamara Dulaya Apurvachayane Krishna Sukhe Nidra Jaya Apurvachayane Krishna Sukhe Nidra Jaya Yashomati Akyape Dhanishto Anito Yashomati Akyape Dhanishto Anito Shri Krishna Prasada Radha Kunje Hoyo Prito Lalitari Sakhi Gana Avashesha Paya Mana Mane Sukhe Radha Krishna Guna Gaya Hari Leela Ekmatra Jara Pramoda Bhagati Gai Thakur Bhakti Vinoda Vaja Bhakata Vatsala Shri Gora Hari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram
Actually, you brought me yesterday night. The massive said that close today. Until Monday, they will for the work. So, what I will do, I will try to get them work. I will send through my email to them directly. Because they want to send me message later. I'll send to confirm the document that I sent to you. So I'll send them through my email. If you don't go to your email, I don't know why it doesn't go.
But I send it to you. This thing, you have been trying to do it and not going.
I'll do it now.
Did you get the parcel?
Yeah, she actually sent me the parcel yesterday.
You just send it to you.
I will take my other one and send it to you.
You're there. I'm telling you. Hare Krishna. See you later.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.